everybody. It's Kaplan from Mommy, your mama resource from conception to college. Wherever you are in your momming journey, we are here for you. And this broadcast is a very different broadcast from what I usually do, because what I usually do is a little 5-minute broadcast about whatever the theme in the group is. But today it is Sunday. I do not normally broadcast on Sundays, but I'm doing a special broadcast for you guys that's all about the holidays, handling the holidays, surviving this time of year. And I've been doing so much research for the last 2 weeks, getting ready for this broadcast, asking you guys all what your biggest challenges were over the holidays. I'm so glad to see people are already joining. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Kelly. Hola, Africa. Te quiero mucho. And I'm so excited that you guys are here with me. And I have to say, writing down the list that I have here in front of me, it's hard to see because of the lighting, but the list that I have in front of me of all of the biggest challenges that people have told me about, it was almost heartbreaking, because it's so sad to think that this time of year, and what are we trying to do for our kids? We're trying to give them this great experience. We're trying to enjoy our time with them. We're trying to teach them like the meaning of the season and all of this stuff. But the stuff that we're worrying about, the stuff that's on our mind, has nothing to do with that. It's all just stress and drama and behavior and organizing and scheduling and all of that stuff. And it makes it so sad, because it shouldn't be that way. So let's talk about this. And what I'm going to be doing today is talking about stuff in terms of the mindset and the way that we're thinking about things and shifting our mentality that can help us a ton, but also logistical stuff that can make a big difference, like making a schedule and getting a routine going and stuff like that. And if you have already been following me for a long time, if you're a client of mine, you already know some of the things that I'm going to be talking about today are very familiar just for my clients all year long. They might not have anything to do with the holidays really, because what I want to start off by saying to you guys is the holidays are hard. Why? Because they exacerbate the same challenges that we really have all year long, the same challenges of organizing our time, setting boundaries, enforcing the rules in our home, balancing what we want for our kids with what we know is good for them. All of these things that we deal with all year long, they really aren't anything new that comes up over the holidays. It's just that the circumstance of the holidays conspire to bring it all to a head in this way that is so much more stressful than normal. So I actually did a broadcast in my group coaching program a couple weeks ago, and the title of it was "Why December is the Devil's Month." And it's because December, it's this crazy time of year where all of these things come together, and it's like a cruel trick of the universe. Like, if you have a job, or even if you don't have a job, but you're just trying to keep on track for your goals for the year or evaluate your progress for the year, whatever, December is the end of the year. So we have all of the stuff coming throughout the year, coming to this end of the year moment that for a lot of us with jobs means a lot of extra work. Then on top of that, you have all of these events coming. Your kids have a million things going on at school, and then all of a sudden they just don't have school at all, and they're in your business and underfoot and not giving you any breaks. And then you have all these events that involve your family coming and stuff like that. And I can't tell you how many of my clients this time of year, practically all of them, myself included, to be honest, when we get around our family, and of course that happens more this time of year, it's just natural. It's human nature that we kind of revert to the old habits that we've been working really, really hard to grow away from, or just even if it's not bad stuff, but you're just kind of revert to your old roles and your dynamics in your family. And all of a sudden, you are this person that you thought you grew away from. And having that on top of the end of the year, on top of the kids being all around, on top of having extra stuff on your calendar and all these commitments, it's like, who wouldn't go crazy this time of year, okay? So you're going to see as we go along that a lot of the stuff we're talking about is just stuff that is actually useful all year long, not just at the holidays. We'll just get test our ability to do that even more during the holidays. So as I'm going along, I'm going to be talking about all of these things that have come up in my research, all of the questions that have come up and all that stuff. But I want to really encourage you, put your comments in the comments below. Write your unique questions, because this broadcast is supposed to be, hopefully, ideally, my vision for this broadcast is for it to be different than my usual broadcast. It's not just a teaching moment. It should be, and hopefully will be, interactive. And the more that you guys comment and share your questions and concerns and feedback and response to what I'm saying, the more interactive and more of a rich experience it's going to be for everybody involved, even the people who aren't commenting. So write your comments below and share what's going on for you this holiday season. What is your biggest challenge? Is some of the stuff I'm saying resonating with you? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe you have a different take on it. I'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to just literally start from the most popular challenge and go on down. And I will show you, I'm going to see if you can see this here. Do you see all these like little hashtag marks? I started writing down like all the things that people were telling me was challenging to them. And I realized like so many things were coming up more than once that I just started just putting hashtag marks to score which of these challenges is the most pressing for all of us. So the biggest one, the biggest challenge that everybody had was the fact that we just have too much to do, and it's overwhelming us to the point that we're not really even enjoying the holidays. And then subcategories of that came up for people were, there's just too much extra stuff on the calendar, like I said, or this kind of analysis paralysis a little bit of what do I have to do versus what do I want to do? What do I feel obligated to do? And so you're going to see as I go through all these things, and this topic is no exception, there's a big difference, but they're so interconnected, that mindset piece, that inner game piece versus that outer game piece. And so let's talk about that with the schedule. We all know Christmas time, the holidays, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, whatever. Hi, Amanda. All of those things come up and they add extra stuff to our calendar. They add the little pageants at the end of the year. You guys have no idea how many costumes. There's a bag over here. You can't see it, but it's outside of my picture frame that is completely full of all the different costumes and clothing and uniforms and stuff that my kids have to wear for their various different Christmas and holiday fiestas. We're in Spain, so nobody is abashed about saying Christmas here instead of the holidays or whatever. It's Christmas. Gigi takes gymnastics. She just had a Christmas production today where she had to put like gold garland all over her hair and around her waist, and she has a different outfit she has to wear in school and all that stuff. So suffice it to say, this time of year we get more stuff on our calendar. Let's talk about that. So as far as like having too much stuff on your calendar goes, we all face this all year long, you guys. It's nothing new. Christmas time is nothing new. The holidays is nothing new. We are multitasking fiends, right? Moms, we get it all done. But what I'm going to say to you, you probably heard me say it before, is quit the multitasking. Cut it out, okay? Because half of the feeling that you have of having too much to do is real. There really is too much to do, and you have to get choosy, and you have to get really logistical and organized and all that stuff about your time. Absolutely true. But there's a whole nother half of that that's all in your head. Because when we're trying to do more than one thing at once, what we're really doing is giving ourselves a sensation of emergency, of the fact that you're forgetting something, that you've got a million balls in the air. You guys, that's not just a sensation. It's actually true. When you're multitasking, when you're trying to order all of your gifts on Amazon and, do your end of the year account bookkeeping, I promise you that you're doing a crappy job of both of those things. When you are trying to multitask, whether it is just doing two different things at once on your computer, or trying to do work while your kid is sitting right next to you, or whatever, cook. I can't tell you how much crap I have burned in the last month breaking my own rule and multitasking. I'm trying to cook something and get something done for a client at the same time. You guys, multitasking is the worst. It's so evil because it makes us less efficient. It makes us feel like we're busier than we actually are. And it gives us the constant and an unavoidable feeling of stress constantly. So my first piece of advice to you when it comes to feeling overwhelmed, I know it sounds counterintuitive and you might be thinking right now, like, oh, right, like I have more stuff to do, so I should just be doing less things at the same time. Like, thanks for completely not getting what my circumstances are. But I promise you it's totally true. Quit Multitasking, the first thing you will notice, if you really, really follow what I'm saying and stop multitasking, the first thing you will notice is that your stress level plummets. Okay, so how can you quit multitasking? You need to get organized about your time, and that's the outer game piece of it. Look at your time, be realistic about what you want, about how busy you want to be, how much time in your day you want to devote to the different obligations you have and the things that you want to get done, and plan it out. Plan it. I have a partner in my group coaching program who, before she started working with me, was a little bit disorganized. Hi, Bridget. And, she really decided this year that she was going to start being a little bit more organized. I think she saw how a little bit type A, I'm going to admit it, I am about my time. And so she decided to do it too. And her business has like tripled this year, literally just because she got decided to get super organized in her mind, but also with her calendar, with her time and all that stuff. So my clients who work with me, the first month we work together, one of their homework assignments is a scheduling homework. And it's not something you just sit down and do it like that. It is a month-long assignment, because it's hard to change our routines. It's hard to change our mindset about time. It's not something you just sit down and you write it all out on a piece of paper and then all of a sudden you're a new person. It doesn't work that way. So when I work with my clients, I really work with them step by step. Okay, like the first week, all you have to do is decide on a wake-up time, a bedtime, and your work hours. That's it. And then you have to follow that. And so that is the piece, and we add onto that week by week. So the next week, we're going to start adding in things like the things that you're already committed to doing, like your kids' gymnastics stuff, and maybe, for example, for me, every Wednesday I have a Spanish class, and on Fridays I have a language exchange with some friends. So those are the kind of things that would go in there, and we add on week by week, so that by the end of the month, you actually have your life really fairly quite organized, and you will be flabbergasted at how efficient you become, and you'll be amazed at how less stressed you are. And I can't tell you how many of my clients do the schedule homework and then don't implement it, or resist doing the schedule homework. And that is the inner game piece. That is the mindset piece when it comes to feeling so overwhelmed. And that gets to that second little thing I was saying about, which is that feeling of, what do I have to do? What do I want to do? What am I obligated to do? So what I would tell you is, if you're feeling like this overwhelming sense of obligation and burden, that feeling, I want you to really tune into it, because what it's really doing is giving you a huge sign that's coming from inside you. It's not something you choose. It's not something you decided. It's not something that means you're good or bad. It's just a truth about who you are, that there's something coming from you telling you that whatever it is that you're feeling like this overwhelming sense of obligation about is something that's not right for you to be doing. Because if it were right for you to be doing, you would not feel obligated about it. So what I really want to encourage you to do is just notice the stuff that you feel obligated about, identify it, and then get it off your plate. Just say, like, this is the universe, this is my body telling me, this feeling of obligation is telling me that this is not where my energy needs to lie. And that obligation feeling is a sense that's coming from you being misaligned with the things and the tasks that you've set for you. And I know I'm talking about this in a general fruity way, but it's very, very simple and very applicable to the holidays. If you are in a situation where your mother-in-law wants you guys to come over for some holiday dinner or whatever, and it's just not working for your schedule, you feel really bad because you don't want to go, you feel really guilty, you feel obligated, but your body is telling you, like everything is telling you, like, this is going to be a huge monkey wrench in whatever's going on for us, it's okay to say no. So the obligation stuff is a story. I want you to realize that obligation is a story that we're telling ourselves about who we're supposed to be, and that person is not who we actually are. So once you let go of the stuff you feel obligated by, because it's not real, it's a story that you're telling yourself. You don't actually have to do anything, really. There's 1,000,001 ways to skin every single cat in this world, and obligation is your little cue, your little push that's coming from inside you to think creatively and figure out a different way that's not going to feel like this to you. So get rid of the stuff that you feel obligated to do. And then let's look at that have to and want to thing. Obligation isn't the same. This feeling of ownness to other people, that's what I think of when I think of obligation. This feeling of like I'm obligated to somebody else. That's different than having obligations to yourself or commitments to yourself. Like, for example, I work out every morning. I'm not saying I do that. I'm saying, let's pretend you work out every morning. That's not an obligation in my book. That is a commitment you've made to yourself. And then there's things that you do because you want to do them. Like, I want to make Christmas cookies with my kids because I really like it. Or I really want to see my kids do their little pageant. They've worked so hard and it's super adorable. And it's probably going to make adorable, cute, hilarious home video. That's great. Recognize those things that you have to do and you want to do, those commitments you've made to yourself or to the people that you really, really want to honor, and the things that you want to do, and those are the things that you need to schedule. The stuff you're doing just because you feel guilty and obligated to do it and it's for somebody else, it's not for you or your kids or your partner, that is a big, huge waste of your time. And I guarantee everybody who's listening to this video right now, if you looked at all the lists of the things that you were doing between now and January 1st, half of them would be stuff that you have no desire to do. It's not necessary to do. You're only doing it because you feel guilty and you feel obligated. Cut that crap out. So what I say to my clients all the time is this you can do it all stuff is a big pile of lies. You can't have it all. You can't do it all. But you can do the stuff you want to do by getting rid of the stuff you don't want to do, whether that's delegating the stuff or recognizing it's stuff that you never needed to do and you don't really want to do anyway. So let's get rid of it. So whether we're talking about the holidays and getting rid of certain social obligations or activities that you may or may not want to participate in or whatever, that's one thing. If it's the rest of the year, we're usually talking about things that moms feel obligated to do or they feel guilty if they don't do it. That's a bunch of baloney, like cleaning your toilets. Guys, you're not enhancing your life or your kids' lives by being the one who cleans the toilets in your house. If that's something that you're capable of delegating, why on earth wouldn't you do it? Okay? So take that mindset and apply it to the holidays. Okay? So that's what I want to say right now about doing too much and being overwhelmed, because the true enjoyment of this holiday season is not from having all the things done and checking things off your to-do list and all that stuff. It's from just like being present with your kids. And that's the real thing that comes from this quit multitasking thing. You can't be present in any moment with anybody, including yourself, if your mind is thinking about the future or the past or something that's actually supposed to be in your brain happening at the same time, even though we know scientifically that your brain can't do two things at once. So it's really just flipping back and forth between those two things. Multitasking makes it so it's impossible for you to be present. Period. And if you really want to enjoy this holiday season, that enjoyment is only possible, it is only available to you if you're capable of being 100% present in the moment and leaving by the wayside all that other stuff. So that's the big thing. And I want to take that idea of being present and that enjoyment and move it in to this next phase, a little bit of a flip of the switch, something very different, but it was literally tied for first place in the challenges for over the holidays, which was family drama. Family drama, whether we're talking about family that's toxic. I got the word toxic a lot in my polling. I also got a lot of talk about in-laws, a lot of talk about parents who aren't respecting the boundaries of the kids when it comes to parenting and things like that. So I want to remind you guys before I dig into this topic, post your questions below. Post your questions in the comments, because as I'm getting these comments, I'm going to be responding to them. What I'm sharing with you right now is the things that people have shared with me leading up to today's broadcast. But I want to really remind you that if you are going to be sharing your questions right now in the comments, I'm going to be talking about those first and foremost. And the other thing I want to remind you is that anytime, if you want to meet with me and do a one-on-one session and talk about this stuff more specifically, like talk about your scheduling, talk about your toxic family, talk about your family drama, setting boundaries, having a relationship with your family that's actually nurturing, even if it's someone you don't love, just put a comment in here. If you're interested in meeting after this, I'm going to reach out to everyone who's told me they're interested. All you have to do is comment and say free session. Anyone who puts the comment free session, I will be reaching out to and setting up a free session with you after this broadcast. So all you need to do is put that comment and we'll get it set up. So let's talk about this family drama stuff. Whew, man, it's a big one, and it can take on so many permutations because family drama can come from something like feeling like your parents or your family, whoever it is, somebody in your family is not supporting you, doesn't understand you, is maybe undermining you or disrespecting you. That can be something, and that can look like so many different things. But another thing that it could be is that you've set boundaries and people aren't respecting them, or you're parenting and the other people don't understand your parenting methods. But I want to tell you something right now, you guys. 99% of the family drama I deal with my clients is really coming from my clients. And that doesn't mean it's because they're causing drama. It's because it's their mindset about what's going on around them that's causing them so much pain. That doesn't mean that your sister-in-law isn't a you-know-what. She very well might be. But it's not her person that's causing you the pain that you're feeling with her. It's your feelings and thoughts about her that are causing you so much agony and are just torturing you. So things like setting boundaries with your in-laws, for example, and I can tell you from my own personal experience, I struggled with this, not just with my in-laws, but with my own family as well. When my kids were first born, it was so hard for me. But what was hard wasn't actually setting the boundary. It was feeling okay that I had set the boundary and feeling like telling myself this crazy story about like how if they didn't respect my boundary, it meant that they didn't see me as a legit parent, or they didn't recognize me as an adult, or any of that stuff. And it doesn't mean anything like that. So when you're feeling the disrespect from your family, and this is where I would love to hear comments from you guys about this specific situation that you're in, if you're experiencing family drama or attention, because it's a lot easier for me to speak about this stuff when I'm talking about individual instances. But let's just say, I'm going to use some hypotheticals from my own life while I wait to hear from you guys. But for me, for example, there was one year where I told my mom that I didn't want I told everybody in the family, not just my mom. I told the family that we were only going to be giving the kids, we only wanted one gift from each person because my family goes way over the top with gift giving. And I just thought it was just too much. I felt like really like I didn't want all those toys in my house, and it was garbage anyway, and half of it made noise and made me want to blow out my own eardrums. And I just was sick of cleaning up all the stuff, and I didn't want our kids to be spoiled and all this stuff. So I literally said, please do not give our kids more than one gift per person this year. And just so you know, any gifts that you do give us that are above and beyond, I'll let the kids pick what they want to donate, and we're going to donate the extra gifts. And I sat there and thought, oh, look at me. I did it. I set a boundary. But then, of course, there was a huge part of me that was just like, oh, God, I hope they don't hate me. And probably my mom's not going to listen. And then I'm going to have to do it. And then she's going to be super mad at me. And also, I'm going to be super mad at her because how dare she disrespect what I've set, this boundary I've set for my family and all that stuff. Well, guess what, you guys? Of course, she didn't do it. She sent 10 times more gifts than I asked. And I did. I followed through, and I had the kids after Christmas sit down and look at all their presents and pick the ones that they wanted to donate. And we drove down to the Children's Hospital and donated those presents. And my mom went through the roof, and I felt super, like, at the same time angry and at the same time so bad. I just wanted her to, like, see me as an adult who made a good decision for her family and got support from her family for that. And it took me a really, really long time to realize that that was so wrong-headed in so many ways. The boundary I set was a dumb boundary in the first place. Second of all, it took me a long time to realize that it was the gift giver who experiences the pleasure of the gift, not the gift receiver. And giving gifts was my mom's thing that she wanted to do, and I totally could have still respected and followed my own rule without making it this big drama. I could have still only let the kids have one or two gifts and donated the rest. I could have still involved them in the gift giving, but I didn't have to make it this big display to my mother. And her giving those gifts and not listening to my boundary, it didn't mean anything about me at all. It was all about her. She had to do things her way, just like I had to do things my way. And I made it mean so much more. And all of that anger and anxiety and stress that I gave myself in that moment, it came from me, not my mom. And that doesn't mean that it was, freaking BS that she didn't listen to my rule, and she should have. And I'd like to think that when I'm a mother or a grandmother and my daughter-in-law or my daughter asks me not to do that, that I will comply. But the fact that my mom is that way isn't the thing that's painful. It's my feelings and thoughts about her being that way that's painful to me. And that's the same with everybody. I know it's really, really hard to hear sometimes, especially when we know from an objective perspective that the people in our lives who are causing us pain, or we perceive are causing us pain, are doing things that are totally effed up. It happens all the time. I mean, I can give you a list so much more long, but I'm not going to air my own dirty laundry in this video, but I'm just telling you, like, I can tell you some heinous stuff that has happened in my past that every of anybody here would look at and be like, that's really messed up. And I'm like, I know, but no matter how legit messed up it is, someone's behavior, it's really in our power whether or not it causes us pain. It truly, truly is. So it is possible for you to set boundaries with your family, have it be a pleasurable experience. Because this is the second thing I want to say about family drama. Just like the gift giving is really for the gifts are really for the giver and not the receiver. Boundaries are for the setter, not the settee. The boundaries you set, they honestly 90% of the time don't even need to be shared with the people around. The boundary you set needs to be set for yourself. You need to get right with yourself about what works for you, what feels okay for you, what you believe, who you are as a person, as a woman, as a mother, whatever, and then set boundaries within yourself. This is what feels okay to me, and anything beyond this, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z. Bridget's on the call, and she and I had a similar conversation. Forces. So she knows what I'm talking about. The boundaries don't just happen with our kids. They certainly don't just happen around Christmas time, and they definitely happen with our kids, with our partners, our friends, with ourselves sometimes. So the way you can think of the fact that your boundary that you're setting is really for yourself. It is not for the person that you're trying to protect yourself. It makes it so much easier to enforce that boundary and to not have to make a big deal out of it. You don't have to draw this giant glowing line in the sand. It's not necessary so many times. It's possible for me, would have been possible in a gift-giving situation for me to just tell myself what we were going to do. Let the people in our family know that we requested for them to do this, that or the other, but not to give them an ultimatum or anything, and then follow through with that on my own time, on my own terms, without making it a big production, and have felt just as settled and actually more settled and more comfortable with that boundary than I did when I felt like I was freaking crossing the Rubicon over it. So when you can think about those boundaries for yourself and not for the other person, it's kind of a game changer. And I really encourage you to experiment with that. And if that's something that you want to talk about more deeply, family drama is a big deal, you guys. It affects all of us, and sometimes we're ashamed to talk about it, especially on Facebook, which is totally legit. But if you do want to talk about it in a more one-on-one situation and talk about your unique circumstances and what's really, really going on for you specifically, just comment on this video, just write free session in one of the comments, and I will reach out to you and set that up for you, because I do free one-on-one sessions all the time, and it's something that is really powerful, especially about this. So something I talk about all year long with my clients is family drama when it comes to partner alignment. What happens when you're not on the same page as your partner that you're raising kids with? Does that sound like family drama? Well, it is. It is for a lot of myriad of reasons, and sometimes extended family gets drawn into that. But I want to plant the seed for you that these boundary ideas aren't just for extended family, and they're not just for the holidays. It's a really big deal all year long, especially with partners, especially with kids, which brings me to something that a lot of people have talked about with their holiday challenges, which is worrying your kids' behavior is going to be off track and kind of embarrass you or put you in the spot of having to defend your kids or whatever in front of relatives or whatever. So let's talk about that, because what do you know, it has to do with boundaries, right? If you guys follow me at all, especially if you're my client and we're working on behavior modification in your home, you already know that boundaries are a big deal when we're parenting our kids. So setting that internal boundary, just like we talked about, of what is acceptable, what's unacceptable, and then taking immediate action. And we're talking about parenting. We're almost always talking about natural consequences. So, but two things I want to say about behavior over the holidays. The first is it's definitely important for you to stay consistent. Whatever the rules are all year long, they do not change just because you came out of town, just because you ate a dozen Christmas cookies, or just because this is your third Christmas party today. But you can be consistent with the rules that you already have in place in your home and really enforce them, let them lag too much, the easier time you're going to have over this holiday break. I promise. However, we also need to recognize that taking your kids to 6 different parties in one day, giving them 20 times as much sugar as they usually have, letting them watch 10 times as much screen time because it's a Christmas movie marathon, all of those things are probably going to happen, and we need to have realistic expectations that when they do happen, our kids aren't going to be unchanged by the fact that their circumstances have completely changed. That's just not fair or possible for our kids. So I want you to really recognize that it's fine if you want to do that, because you are the mom. You could decide, and it's a special, it's the holidays and all that stuff, but recognize what you're choosing there. You're recognizing that you are choosing that your kid's probably going to have best behavior because he's going to be, or she is going to be responding to the circumstances that you put them in, which all of a sudden, the rules don't apply anymore, right? All of a sudden, we lost 5 hours of screen time instead of 1 every day, and all of a sudden, we get treats once or whatever. Those kind of things don't set you up to fail with your kids because your kids are like over-sugared and overtired, but they also set you up to fail with your kids. So logically, you're teaching your child that everything you thought you knew was true is not true anymore. And anytime there's a change in routine or a change in what they perceive to be the rules or the boundaries or the structure of their life, it doesn't have to be Christmas. It could be a new something, it could be moving, it could be someone to visit, all of the things, anything that's new. It psychologically calls into question all the things that maybe haven't changed, but they're not sure. And all of a sudden, you're going to see your kids testing you more and more and more. So, think your kid absolutely knows is to be true and has not tested you for months and months. All of a sudden, there's a little switch with our kids' brains where they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess now these rules have changed. So I wonder if anything else has changed. I just test all the things. Because in their brains, it's like up is down, up is right. Nothing makes any sense anymore. Am I telling that to tell them don't have a movie marathon or don't have Christmas cookies? Absolutely not. Just me personally, it's very, very helpful to have a knowledge about how my child's brain is working, and that makes me, first of all, a lot more compassionate. While I still administer consequences, but from a place of understanding and empathy, like, oh, buddy, you've been 6 Christmas parties today, and you're so tired, and I gave you way too much sugar, but it's still not okay, my dear brother. And that's why we need to have a little bedroom time right now. So, but that's really, really helpful to know, and it's helpful for you to know after making decisions about what to commit to. It's like, okay, I understand that if I get to all these things, I'm going to get this wrath. Is it worth it to me? And if it is, great. If it's not, now you know. It's going to help you when you go back to that first thing we talked about, essentially overcommitting. right? So the other thing I want to talk about when it comes to kids' behavior and embarrassment, you guys, there's stuff that is that we know doing right by our kids, like natural consequences, like sticking to a routine, like not losing our temper, and whatever sort of parenting style we decide to use with empathy and love. We know that those are doing right by our kids. But then sometimes we get put in situations like, I don't know, an awkward family dinner with relatives or company Christmas party or something, where all of a sudden our parenting techniques get pushed onto the back burner, and we wind up prioritizing stuff that if anybody were to really ask us, we would never see as our priority. Is it more important to you to continue to have consistent boundaries and consequences with your child, even at your family's Christmas party? Or is it more important to you that your sister-in-law thinks you're a good mom? More important. Of course, anybody with a you ask that question, they're going to say, it's important for me to do right by my kid. Of course, everyone's going to say that. But what do we actually do? What does our behavior actually show? It shows that we care more sometimes about what other people think than what we actually need to be doing as parents. So when it comes to embarrassment, whenever a client of mine is bringing up something like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed because in the grocery store my kid was throwing a tantrum, or oh my God, it was so embarrassing, my kid, hit his grandmother or whatever. It's not that those behaviors are good. Of course they're not, and we need to do something about them. But that embarrassment piece actually has nothing to do with you or your relationship with your child. It's your ego putting a story on what's going on and saying, this thing is happening, and it means you're a bad mom. It means people think bad things about you. It means that you're whoever's watching you and seeing this is coming to some conclusion about you that you can't handle. Guys, the embarrassment piece, all it's doing is blocking you from doing the right thing, the thing that needs to be done for the sanctity of your family, okay? So cut that embarrassment stuff out. Be proud. Be proud when you walk your walk and put your money where your mouth is with your kid, even when it's in front of somebody that you might have feared their judgment or whatever. Be proud, because that's momming, sister, okay? Doing what's right for your kid, even though it's tearing you up inside. Doing what's right by your kid, even if other people don't get it. Doing what's right by your kid, even if you know that people are going to be thinking something about you that you don't like. That's momming. So get up and mom and quit the embarrassment stuff. Now, the last thing I want to say about behavior when it comes to kids around the holidays and stuff like that is, if you're listening to this and saying, I don't do natural consequences, I never implement natural consequences, or I do lose my temper with my kids, or, all these things that Anna's saying, I'm not doing them. I better start doing them right now. Slow your roll, sister, because this time of year, it's great. If you're at home and you have like a tranquil, peaceful, home environment, and you don't have a lot on your plate, and your Christmas is just really relaxing and peaceful, and you want to spend the holidays using that time to improve the behavior in your family, awesome. Go for it. Set up your free session with me. We'll get you started off on the right foot, and you'll hit the ground running. But if you have the kind of holiday plans that most of us do, which is running around, that is not the time to be introducing a new parenting technique. So what I want to talk about with all of you guys who are interested in having your free session with me, remember to comment with the words free session, and I'll get back to you and set up your session for you. And what I want to talk about with that is, don't hesitate to set your session up just because you know that you're not going to be starting with this new natural consequences and not losing your temper with your kids today. That's okay, because everybody who sets up a free session with me through this broadcast is going to get an extra 30 minutes to their free session, even if their session isn't until January. Most of you who want your free session, we're probably not going to meet until January, and that's just fine. But I still want you to say free session right now, because when you do, you're going to be locking in that extra 30 minutes to your free session. So don't start a new technique right now unless you really have the energy and time and patience and peace and tranquility to implement it right now. The other thing I'd like to say is if you are starting a new technique, you've already started it or whatever, so I see some of my clients are logged into this call right now, don't stop. That's amazing. But don't beat yourself up if your execution outside of the home isn't as spot on as you want it to be. Because we always say when we're starting a new parenting technique, get it right, get it tight at home, and then take your show on the road. You're never going to be as great at implementing in the grocery store as you are in your living room. Never. Okay? So get it right and get it tight at home. Make sure you have the space and the bedroom time stuff set up, the consequences locked down, the language that you use, the way that you keep your cool, all of those little tips and tricks and techniques that we learn when we work together, get all that stuff really locked in now when you're in your home, so that later when you take your show on the road and you go to grandma's house or you go, wherever, you can implement. Now, if you already have those tools in and you're still worried about your kids' behavior outside of the home with relatives or in alternate settings, I think we need to go back to the mindset piece and just remind you, like, you have the skills. So keep it up. Keep implementing. Doesn't matter where you are. You can always consequence your kids. You can always give your kids the loving boundaries that they need and they deserve in this world. And you can always execute without losing your cool or whatever. What often happens during the holidays is the other family drama that's not about our kids at all. It's about us and our little interactions and cuckoo's nest stuff that we tell ourselves while we're in that family setting weighs on us so much that we wind up kind of projecting it or putting it on our kids, and that's not fair. So remember that you have those skills. Remember that you can always reach out to me, definitely, and especially if you're one of my clients, you have connection to me 24/7. And if you aren't one of my clients, but you want to get some support from me, once again, just put that free session in the comments, and you will get that free session and you'll have me in your back pocket. Okay? So next thing I want to talk about that's on the list is the fact that our kids are out of school. Our kids are out of school, and that means that whatever routine we had when our kids were in school ain't going to work anymore. And that's the first thing I want to tell you. It ain't going to work anymore, okay? So if you have in your mind that you need to consistently continue with the same routine that you do all day long while your kids are at school, the only way that's possible for you, truly possible, is for you to have alternate childcare arrangements. And if you do, kudos to you. You're light years ahead of the game, and hats off. But most of us don't. We're kind of cobbling together sort of hybrid approach to childcare, kind of like we do in the summertime, but it's almost worse over the holidays, because since the holidays are short, we don't have the whole summer. We don't have this whole couple of months to get ourselves reorganized. So my advice to you about your kids being home is prepare, set yourself up for success. Your kids are going to be home. Make a calendar of the time that your kids are going to be home from school. Make a routine that's going to actually work. If you're still working and you work from home, make a realistic calendar. Arrange for times for your kids to be taken care of. Do not fall into the multitasking like we talked about in the beginning of this broadcast, because it's not going to work for you. That is the quickest way to set you up for counting down the seconds until school starts and screaming at your kids for 2 weeks straight. Do not multitask. If you need to work while your kids are home, figure out a way for them to not be around when you work. Whether that means if they're older kids that you leave the house and go and work in a coffee shop, if it means that you enroll them in maybe a school break, little day camp kind of thing. You arrange childcare swaps with a friend. You tag team with your partner if you have a partner, but do not fall into the trap of multitasking while your kids are home because you feel like you have to just basically act like they're not home. They are home. And that brings me to my second point, which is they're home. Do something fun and cool and interesting, because the times what we are super annoyed with our kids being home isn't when we're actually hanging out with them and doing stuff with them. It's when we're trying not to hang out with them and avoid doing stuff with them because we're trying to do other stuff. So put some times in that calendar, make a calendar for the time that they're home, and put some times in that calendar where you're going to do some fun, special stuff. And that's okay. And give yourself permission to be 100% with them during that time. And then when you build in the other times during that calendar where you're not going to be 100% with them because you're going to be 100% doing something else because you don't multitask, so you're never 50% doing anything, it's okay. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel like, oh God, my kids are home from school and I'm not even hanging out with them. It's okay. You do not have to hang out with your kids 24/7 when they're home from school. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is that you need to be realistic about your time. Take advantage of it in the sense that you can be a little bit more relaxed and have some more time with your kids and all that stuff. And do not mess around when it comes to childcare if you need childcare. Figure it out. And sometimes having relatives in town can be great, as long as you can stop putting expectations and, once again, obligation on yourself. You can say, oh my God, I am so glad that you're going to be in town. This is so great. I'm so excited to spend time with you. And it's going to be a huge help to me because there's going to be a few days where I just need to duck out and get some work done. And I know the kids are going to be so happy to be with you that it's going to be an awesome bonding time for you. And it's going to be, I'm just so grateful, you know, that kind of thing when your family's in town. Okay, kids home from school. And the last thing I want to talk about, second to last thing I want to talk about, is finances, money. So many people said that one of the things that was stressing them out over the holidays was how expensive it is to build those memories that you want to make with your kids and all that stuff. And even though I completely have like 9,000,000% empathy for you if you're struggling financially right now, I know how that feels. And I 100% have empathy for that. I also want to call BS on the need to spend money to make memories for your kids. And I'm not just trying to be all hallmarky or whatever. What I'm really literally talking about is the things that your kids will remember, the things that matter to your kids, the things that actually impact them when they are older about these times that they spend with their families, is your energy, the connection that you have with them, the way that you relate to each other, your relationship with them, and that kind of thing. So what's much more toxic to your child than not getting the thing that they wanted, or having a little bit of a meager Christmas, or not having fancy foods or new clothes or tons and tons of presents, is far more toxic for them to get all of those things, but have a mom or a dad who is so stressed about money and worried all the time that she or he is like a tightly wound coil, not really present, not enjoying the season, not connecting with them, and probably losing their temper and being really short-tempered all the time. Because let's face it, when we're stressed out, we're just like that, whether it's about money or anything. So the things that you can do with your kids that don't cost any money over the holidays are infinite. I don't need to list, bake cookies, and do crafts, and decorate the Christmas tree with popcorn, all those little things. Yes, of course. We all know that. But I think when we're struggling with money, what's more important than finding like little hacks and stuff for money, to be honest, necessity is the mother of invention. You've probably already thought 20 times more hacks than I can tell you when it comes to money stuff. But what we really need to hear when it comes to finances and feeling stressed about money around the holidays is the mindset piece. That is to know that your kids, what they need from you is free. What they need from you, you already have to give an infinite amounts. It's very, very true. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but it really, really is. And finances and arguing about money and being stressed about money and all of that stuff, all that can possibly do is undermine that sacred, amazing gift that you have to give your child, which is just tons of love and connection, and seeing your child for who he or she is, embracing that, honoring it, celebrating it. It's worth so much more. So much more. And from a logistical standpoint, I get a lot of questions about people asking, is it bad to talk about money from your kids? Should we try to hide from our kids that we can't afford something or whatever? And there's a lot of schools that thought about that, but from my experience, it's really great to be able to be honest with your child without giving them any fear or stress about it. So it's not a good idea to tell your kids, we might lose our house. Like, that's not something that they need to be carrying around in their minds. But it is totally fine for you to say, we have a budget, and the things that some of the gifts that you want, sometimes the things that I want to buy, things like that, are outside of our budget. And being a grown up and being responsible means that you need to look at how much money you have and what you can afford, and you make smart choices about that. And I would much rather make really smart choices about money and be able to be happy and comfortable and safe and enjoy my time with you, to make unsmart, to make not so smart decisions about money, and then spend my time being really stressed and worried and not be able to enjoy my time with you. It's a perfectly legitimate conversation to tell your kids, and it's not something to feel guilty that you have to have that conversation. Because guess what, you guys? Kids that grow up with a mindset that's practical and realistic about money are set up for success in ways you can't imagine. And kids who just have like this amazing, perfect, white Christmas, being crappy holiday experience every year, that doesn't guarantee anything about their future. I promise you that. It absolutely doesn't. Kids need to have consequences, experiences, learning about, cause and effect, and all those things. Those are the kids who are set up for success in this life. And having a really real and loving conversation with your kids about what you can and can't afford over the holidays is absolutely not only okay to do, but in a lot of ways, if you execute well, a gift in and of itself that you're giving your child. So sometimes our circumstances aren't what we want them to be, and we just have to tell ourselves a story about that, just like we tell ourselves a story about so many other things, a story about what that means. It means I'm not a good mom, or my kid's not having a good holiday, I'm not doing right by my kid, or whatever. And that is all in your heads, mamas. That is not the experience your child is having. Promise you that. And the best gift you could give your child is a happy, healthy, balanced mama. So the mama who says no to all of this stuff that they don't want to do, or that they feel super guilt-ridden to do, so that they have more freedom and time and relaxation in their calendar. The mama who says, you know what, this is the rule of our house, and it's okay if everyone doesn't get it, and enforces it while they away from home. The mama who said, you know what, I'm not going to buy the things that I can't afford this year because that's what makes me feel more comfortable. That is the mom who's giving herself the best version of herself to her family. So when these things that you feel guilty about doing come into your mind, I really encourage you to switch your thinking about them all year long, not just over the holidays. That being balanced and happy and having a complete and full life and taking care of yourself and doing the things that you know to be right and that are in alignment with who you are as a person can never, ever, ever be wrong for your family, because your family is an ecosystem, and when one part of that ecosystem is messed up, everybody in the ecosystem suffers. So in creating your own reality when it comes to parenting, your identity, your marriage, your family, the way that you celebrate the holidays, creating that for yourself, recognizing that you can invent the way that you want your family to run and the way that you experience the world around you is a huge gift. I wish we could put a giant big golden bow on it and present it to our family and say, you're welcome. You're welcome for giving you the best person I can possibly be. And I'm doing it for you because I love you. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for sticking with me this whole time. A lot of the stuff we talked about today is heavy. I bet you guys thought I was going to be talking about gift wrapping and, garlands on your Christmas tree. That is not how I work, and anyone who knows me knows that already. So I really want to encourage you to comment, and not just during the live broadcast. If you're watching the replay of this, comment. Write in the comments, free session. And if any of these things resonate with you, or if there's anything else that I didn't talk about that you really want to talk about, whether it comes to holiday stuff or parenting stuff or whatever, set up that free session. All you have to do is comment free session, and I will get you set up exactly the way you need to. And remember that anybody who sets their session up and I saying free session from this video will get an extra 30 minutes on their session. And even if your session doesn't happen right away, if your session happens in January or whatever, the fact that you get through this video is what's going to guarantee you that extra 30 minutes. So make sure to comment with the free session in the comments. Share any holiday challenges that I haven't touched on. Try to get the top 5 at least. And also, if you want more help on gift giving and stuff like that, don't forget we had a whole week on gift giving last week. So you can watch those videos as well. I love you guys so much. I'm so excited that you guys are here with me today, and I will talk to you all soon. Stay tuned this whole week. What are we talking about? I just wrote the blog post and it's blanking in my mind. What are we about? Oh, cleanliness. So this could be a great thing for you to let go of, whether it comes to the holidays or long term or whatever. And remember to comment with a free session if you want to get that. All week long, we're going to be talking about letting go of our need for everything to be neat and orderly. And I don't mean letting go because your life has just overwhelmed you, but because you actually choose to realize that it's not as important as we thought it was. And I'm going to be talking about that all week long, and the blog post will be coming up in a little bit too. So one last reminder to comment with the words free session to this video. If you want to get set up for that free discovery call, get a strategy session going with me to figure out exactly what's going on with you, what kind of mom you want to be, what's the number one thing holding you back from being that kind of mom. And I always make sure you leave our session knowing exactly what you need to do next to implement and get the respect and behavior and organization and energy in your family that you really, really want. Love you guys so much. I'll talk to you again soon. Have an amazing holiday season. And in case you're curious about what my shirt says, because I realized you can't really see it, but it says, I have been very good for the last week or so. Let's just focus on that. This is my version of a ugly Christmas sweater. I can't wear an ugly Christmas sweater here half the time because it's too hot for sweater. So I have an ugly Christmas t-shirt instead. Love you guys so much. Have an amazing week. And I will be talking to you guys again soon because we'll be talking about neatness and being a neatnik this week. Don't forget to comment. Free session.